Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to the weekly Oppt-In radio show. I'm Lisa Harrison, and today, wow, we have a big day for you, actually. Lots of good people, lots of good discussion and news and updates. So I'm going to start by bringing some people out. We've got Brian Kelly. Brian, you there with us? Brian.
Oh, dang, mute button. I'm here. Hello,
I
everyone.
knew that's what you were doing.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, everyone.
Hey, sweetie. And we've got Dee, obviously.
Yes, Dee giggling her ass off on the radio. Yes, yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all, or hear you all.
And we've got Chris in Melbourne.
Hello, everybody. Back again. Looking forward to it all.
Excellent. And we've got Bob, of course.
Yep,
You're
I'm here too. Welcome, everyone. Lots of good stuff coming out.
And, of course, Heather is always planning on joining us, and she is planning on joining us again today. It all depends on, how much attack her internet is under at any given moment. So we shall see. We've also got today, we've been joined by Scott and Ken Bartle from Western Australia. Now, some of you may have heard of these guys already, and their movie, What the Fuck, otherwise known as FUQ, Frequently Unanswered Questions of the Australian Government. This actually was a documentary that they made and put on YouTube, freely available at the end of last year, and it aired on Western Australian television a couple of nights ago. And Heather watched it, and her response was amazing. She was blown away because essentially what this documentary chronicles is a process that Scott, with his father Ken's assistance, went through in Western Australia and for Australia in general, and it very much mirrors the process that the One People's Public Trust did on a global scale. So we really encourage you to go and watch it. It's on YouTube. What the FUQ, and you will, if you were able to observe it, and instead of hearing Australia and Commonwealth, just hear global, and you'll get an idea of the process that the trustees went through. And having said that, I'd like to bring Scott and Ken out. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, Lisa.
That's Scott and Ken. Are you there? You've got to unmute.
He's probably looking for that mute button.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. Now, for those people who haven't seen it, and I know we don't have you for long, so we're looking for the elevator speech. There we go, Ken. We are kind of looking for the elevator speech version because we haven't got you for very long. But I understand that from watching the movie that what triggered all of this for you was the simple act of importing a car from the US to Australia. And this took you on an unexpected journey, uncovering a great deal of fraud, essentially. So can you just give people, a roundup of the journey you went on and why? Okay.
Well, the quick version of it is importing a 59 Chev Corvette from the States to Australia. At the time, I believed I needed import approval from the Department of Transport. That process ultimately took me 9 months and had various roadblocks thrown in my way. During that time, I found all sorts of moving of the goalposts with the governments and departments involved, and ultimately led to research which found that I wasn't really dealing with the government, I was dealing with a corporation pretending to be government instead. As a result of that, I think I was came up with this on the bus on the way home from work. I realised if they're already or just a corporation, then we might as well treat them as one. And so I offered the customs, in this case, who were demanding money off me for various taxes, I offered them terms and conditions and said, look, will these terms apply if you're unable to demonstrate your real government? So happy to pay your taxes if you can prove that you're real government. In the absence of that, here's my terms and conditions. And so they've remained absolutely silent all the way through, refused every opportunity to demonstrate that they're legitimate. And essentially since then I've been treating them as a company all the way through invoicing overdue notices exactly like your telephone company would do, and ultimately filing a lien against them. So that's probably the quick snapshot. And if you like, I'd love to draw the parallel with where we've got to with the One People's Public Trust.
Definitely.
Well, I suppose the The similarities was, and this is probably something that a lot of people can relate to, is a bank, when it goes and forecloses on someone as a result of their mortgage or finance or whatever, they go through a certain process. They'll send you a notice to say you're in arrears, and then they'll send you a default notice, and then they'll send you a final notice. And at that point, they'll go and take that whole bundle of paperwork along to a court, often through a debt collector or a lawyer. They'll file the paperwork in the court. And once that court's run through and generated its own judgment, and that may be with or without you being present, which is quite hilarious in itself, they end up with a judgment for the payment or the enforcement of that mortgage. And if you go back along to the bank and query it, the bank just goes and points to that judgment that was received from the court. Now, you can huff and puff as much as you like in most cases, and the bank will continue to point to that default judgment. And they'll point to that till the cows come home. And so what I thought, well, why can't we use the same process? And then we'll stand there and point at our default judgment till the cows come home. And that's essentially what I did with the Corvette, was I went through an administrative process, asking for the evidence, didn't get it, formalised that fact, formalised the fact that here were my terms and conditions and they were in play until they were invalidated in a proper court, spelled out everything that was required per what I knew of the Constitution to do so. And since then I've been pointing at my terms and conditions and my default judgment and saying, there you go, that's now the ultimate statement of facts. Forget about whatever things that you thought you might have had. You've already agreed to this by default, and now I point to that default judgment. So I suppose where I'm going with that is we're all familiar with banks doing exactly that and pointing at a default judgment. The leap to actually do that for ourselves was a very interesting exercise, and coming to that and being able to use it, I think, is probably the most powerful thing that we're bringing to the table here.
So did you recognise the same process when you saw what the One People's Public Trust had done?
Well, the thing I spotted was, they'd gone through that same process, and the beauty of it was, instead of me pointing to my default judgment that I'd generated, here was one that was already produced via the trustees that we could point to. I thought, well, this is on a global scale. This is not just me and the Australian government. I can point to this. Anyone can point to this. Bob and the States can point to it. And we can rely upon it. And I thought, well, let's use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I think we've actually got Heather on the line at the moment. Heather, are you there?
I'm here.
Lovely. So can you just tell us your response when you saw this movie and you saw what the boys had done there in Western Australia, and how it related to what the People's Trust had done?
Well, okay, when I first saw the video, I was watching it because a lot of people were asking at the time, what is OPT? Has it done? So you do this in English, reading something, everyone can understand. And at the time, writing just didn't flow, and this video came across our desk from Tales, and I think Bob right. So I watched it, and wow, just with a really personable, easy to understand, fun, enjoyable statement of basically the same exact process that we did, that the OPT did. However, I guess what we would call limited prime, which would be the Commonwealth
We may have lost
her.
Houston,
we lost her.
We have a problem.
She's still there on the... Oh, no, there you are.
I'm here, sorry. Where did you drop me? Where did I drop you?
The Limited Prime.
Oh, okay. the limited primes, so Commonwealth Australia is what Scott was dealing with, and we basically just took all those limited primes from all around the globe, and there's hundreds, if not thousands, and figured out the nexus point. So basically the same process Scott and his father worked through is the same exact process we used. We just did it on a global scale, and we only had to do basically 2 nexus points because of the principal agent principle doctrine. And so anyways, I was ecstatic. I was so happy because here's a different voice. You know how I like to hear different voices. There's a different voice explaining it in such simple terms, a very enjoyable way. I got it. And I thought everyone else would too and really enjoy the energy. So, and it showed that the same process is universal. It was uniform. So no matter what was done in Australia, no matter what is done in United States or Africa, anywhere in Africa, Morocco, anywhere, it was still the same process. So that was my initial response. Actually, I was jumping up and down and posting it everywhere. That was really my response.
Sorry, I was muted then. I was just getting the link to put into the chat room there for people to go and have a look at the video on YouTube. So there's the link. Do go and watch it because it's going to give you an understanding of what comes next with the courtesy notice that we're hoping will be up online within the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
And you know that, yes, at the moment that's in Heather's hands. So we are hoping for the 48 hours. We know that you guys have been waiting on this ever since we first brought it up. It has been worked on constantly since we first mentioned it and for quite some time beforehand, but we want to make sure it's right. Heather wants to make sure it's right. Chris and Scott and Ken want to make sure it's right. And that it will come with very detailed instructions, both visual and written. And also we're going to discuss it a little bit on today's show so that you can see how it came about, how it can be used, and why it feels like to us the next logical step and the first tool that we can put on the ground. So yes, 48 hours. I'm putting my neck out there. 48 hours.
Actually, Lisa, if I could comment just real quickly on that, since I know a lot of people are waiting for it. Scott and Ken and Chris and others were working on this courtesy notice, what they call a courtesy notice, and in the UCC, it basically is called it's a combination of a declaration of facts and basically what's called the UCC 3501 demand, as well as terms of a contract. So basically, giving people courtesy notice of who you be, that you're the registered owner, right? You're telling them to cease and desist from, essentially harming you, damaging you, and if you damage you, they're going to be responsible and liable for it. And by the way, here's a way to, if you want to play with me, here are the terms and conditions to play with me. But you're very open and honest and transparent about what you be and the steps and process of how they can engage with you, which is something they have never afforded anyone else in the former slavery system. So I'm taking that document, and I apologize, today was a very busy day, as most of you know, and even busier behind the curtain. So it would have been ready today. It will be ready by tomorrow, and then there'll be a second document, which will be, essentially this document will handle matters that come before you that are new. The second document will be the same kind of a document to bring you to the same place, but it'll be to address matters that are already in process, like you're already in a court case or you're already in the middle of a foreclosure or something like that. So there's one that is basically new process, and there's one that's, hey, I'm already in the thick of it. I need to get to that clean spot as well, kind of a document. So those are my comments. 24 hours for the first one and probably 48 for the next.
Brilliant. Now, it's my understanding that essentially what this document is doing, well, one of the things that it's doing is pointing out to the individual that's contacting you, that the corporation they think is standing behind them, that they represent, and is, covering their liability, no longer exists. So they're actually coming to you as an individual, and they're making these demands. So they are standing there in front of you as an individual in their own full personal liability. Is that an accurate understanding?
Well, actually, okay, yes, the corporations are all foreclosed on. So these guys are standing there naked. Yeah. Essentially. And they're in their we never say full personal responsibility, because what kind of responsibility is it? That's the point, is making them identify themselves. Don't tell them what they be, just tell them what you be, and then ask them, okay, what are you? Until you tell me what you are, you don't get to play. Now, Scott and I talked, and Ken, and he went through the same, realizations that I did. There's two different beings and entities going on here. And one of them is fraudulent and deceitful, and it's pointing to the one that they want the people to rely on and connect and make this presumption. So whether they're a corporation, whether they're standing there in personal liability, it doesn't matter. The point is, this document makes them tell you under what liability and under what law, essentially, they're going to move under. And it's contract law. It's contract. Private contract between, if it's Scott sending it out to me, then Scott's telling me, here, I'm Scott, who are you? And if you want to play with me, here's my terms. Then I turn around and say, okay, I'm Heather, and here's my terms. And if they don't match, you just work it out, because either you're going to play together or you aren't. Those are the only two options. But when you consciously go forward and do this, you figure out whether you're going to play or not.
Yeah, Scott's making the comment, look at my badge. I got one of those in my dress-up box too. So.
Yeah, exactly. Look at my badge. Scott, you and Ken did a great job. I really enjoyed it. Chris, thanks for putting it across my desk. I really hope that people go and see this, because it saves me a lot of time from answering questions about what was done. It just is a beautiful way and to share the energy from across the world. It's just fabulous. So that's all I've got to say on that. And thank you, Scott and Ken, and Chris and Lisa.
Thank you for your comment.
You're welcome.
And I'm also getting messages from Max Egan, by the way, Scott and Ken, who said to say thank you for the great work that you guys have done. He's pointed a lot of people to that documentary, and he just wanted to give you a shout-out.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cheers, Lisa. Max?
Max is a good guy. Hopefully we'll have him on the show in the next couple of weeks once he's been brought up to speed with what's going on here too. And is there anything else you wanted to add, Scott or Ken, about the documentary itself and the conclusion that you came to?
Yeah, I've got a bit I can add.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the process that I went through to get to even the point where I wanted to produce that documentary was, if I did a snapshot of my fear or how I felt and my anxiety, and I use the example of when I go to the letterbox. When I was first going out to the letterbox and getting these registered mails that are coming from the Department of Transport, which ultimately had these refusals in it, my anxiety level was off the scale. You could physically feel it, you're tightening up of your chest and a bit of shaking, and I was right into it. At the end of the process, if I took another snapshot, I was going out there by the time I was invoicing customs and that sort of thing. It's almost like you go out to the letterbox disappointed there's no customer who's accepted your terms and conditions. It's like you're standing in your coffee shop and you've got no customers. Well, go to the letterbox and there's nothing there. It's disappointing. So the transition from that position of fear to the point where I was going, well, hey, I know who I am. Who are you? Was a phenomenal transition. And I think the tools that we're putting out there is likely to provide people with the same sort of opportunity to test the water and try it and do it and actually experience that themselves. So I'd say there's a lot of benefit to be had from that.
Yeah. Scott, I wonder if we could bring Bob in here for just a moment. We've had so many requests for this. We actually have given, on very strict terms, one or two draft copies of this document out for people who really wanted to do something on the spot and had to. And Bob had one incidence of that last week. And I think, Bob, would you like to share that with us?
Well, yeah. Now, mind you, my friend who was involved in two separate cases. One was a student loan case, and the other, I believe, was a car or auto loan or motorcycle loan or something like that. And in the one case, he had already sent paperwork identifying himself as a diplomat, asking them, what jurisdiction do they have, I'm the living beneficiary, and basically they ignored him and continued with their proceedings, which is what they tend to like to do. But as it started to escalate and he was being threatened with judicial action, he asked, "What can I do? They're coming after me. They've garnished my wages." So I gave him a copy of the unfinished copy of the courtesy notice, and he sent it out to both places. He got an immediate reaction from both sources. Now, you may call one positive and one negative, but I say that they're both positive because when you get a strong reaction like that, you're on the right track. And in the first case, within a matter of 2 days, they had assembled, met with the judge, and summoned him to appear in court for questioning, which he responded with the example that you gave, Heather. This seems to be a summons. I will appear when you first provide A, B, C, D. But on the second one, they called him and they asked him, well, what is all of this about? And he says, well, I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. You're operating on behalf of a foreclosed entity. And if you continue to persist, you're going to be held personally liable. And just so you know, this is phone call one. And the lady goes, I can see how this is going to work. You'll get confirmation that your student loans are paid in a couple days. And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see that
the immediacy of a reply, like you said, it does tell a lot. I know that my father, when I was testing everything, the banks, once I came out from under the radar, not by choice, they went after family members. And so, my dad's watching this whole thing and just kind of like scared. He's a man that pays his debts. If he borrows something, he pays it back. I'm like, great, just tell. And then the bank came in and tried to tie his house to an unsecured loan. And I just said, just ask him in a nice, simple letter. Please verify with documentation that you made a loan. And there's 3 requirements in law regarding banking for that. They freaked out, and within 10 days, they went in to foreclose on him. Within 10 days. And I knew what was going to happen, so we prepared for it. But the immediacy of a reply, and especially when you get a reply from a bank, yet no one signs it, they just put legal department in typed, written, not even handwriting. They're scared they're scared of you guys being, and they're scared of you guys doing, and they're getting scared because you guys aren't scared anymore.
And
does it make
Heather,
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Heather, one of the things that Ken and Scott and I kicked around for some hours was the personal liability aspect of this, but overlaid with the document is the intent, not just that we're deflecting something that they're trying to demand of us unlawfully, but that part of our intent is to actually let them know, to educate them, because these people just don't know what's going on, and most of them are just doing a job, to educate them as to what the real situation is and where they're placed. And you could see that coming out in the story that Bob told, and that is a big part of what we're doing, because that lets the system know that we know what's up.
Well, yeah, and, most of them don't know what's up. At the lower levels, they don't know what's up. They don't even know the mechanics of it. When I went into the court system, I went into a court system that I had actually worked in as a prosecutor. And when we were going in to investigate the level of judicial corruption, who are the judges secretly meeting? And it turned out to be the bar and the bank with the sheriff and the city council executive and the county risk manager. So as they're sitting there meeting, you just sit there and wonder, the next thing I know, I'm getting a call from the county clerk, the elected county clerk for Superior Court, who's trying to convince me that certain things are not what I say they are. Like public servants don't have to have a bond and an oath. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, see, there's a problem here because I'm a public servant. So everything you're telling me, it's all in the statutes. And yet they didn't even realize what data or who I was working with. Intelligence agents, Department of Justice officers, all these people with inside the system were helping to work the data and bring this out to the people so they knew. So all I'm saying is regardless of what their responses are, it's real simple. Source or God, Allah, whatever you want to call, Yahweh, it doesn't matter. First source creates you. There's nothing between you and that creator. And if they try to insert themselves, then just say, who are you? And what law are you operating under? And what authority do you think you have? It's real simple. So that's what I loved about Scott's video. Here's something that people really grab onto. Scott is a normal guy, well, kind of. He rides big boats that are just absolutely gorgeous and has this international background. However, you're sitting there watching a guy who wanted to bring a car in, and it started there. And each one of us has our own trigger point. So what's it going to take for people to finally stand up and just be? These people are going to say whatever they are trained to say. They're on a script. You take them off that script and they freak out. And then their bosses start to freak out. And then their handlers start to freak out. Just stay calm, stay cool, and just keep asking the question until you get the answer. They're asking you to identify yourself. Why can't they? Okay?
Yep. Look, the other thing I'd like to do is I was speaking to Ken before the show, and Ken had just assembled a couple of thoughts about the intent behind the message. Do you want to speak to that for a moment, Ken?
Yes, I would like to do that. The important thing, I think, is, as Heather was alluding to there, she didn't explain it quite clearly. Well, I think she did. The energy behind this is the most important thing, I think. It's not just a question of going out and beating someone over the head with a baseball bat. It's far more than that. It's educating the other person as to the position that they really stand in, but it's also educating yourself as to the position you stand in. Now, I had a sudden thought this morning of an analogy, if you like. I'd like to give you that story. Imagine standing on a city street and you walk along a few steps and you come to an intersection and you turn and you look to one side. There's a one-way street and you see that the landscape has changed dramatically. You see that there's different circumstances there that are not conducive to having traffic drive over them. And you turn around and you see a line of cars approaching to go up that street. And you realise that you need to do something, and you need to do it quickly, and you need to do it affirmatively. So you hastily reach in the pocket and you pull out a white glove, which in this case is a metaphor for the courtesy notice that we've prepared. You pull this white glove on and you step fearlessly out in front of the first car. You hold your hand up firmly and politely and say, stop. The driver comes to a standstill. You then walk up to the driver and say, I'm going to have to inform you that the road ahead is a different landscape from what you thought it was. It's all been changed. Not only that, but the car you drive, that steel shell that is protecting you at the moment, is just vaporized. It doesn't exist anymore. Now step out, because I've got 3 situations now that I want to explain to you. 3 alternatives that you can do. The first alternative that's available to you is to stand here and do absolutely nothing. The second alternative is to walk up that street all alone, because you don't have that protective shell, which is the corporation, anymore. That corporation has vanished. You're on your own. You can walk up that street, but if you do, I've got to tell you there are some conditions up there that you're probably not going to like. And your third alternative is to turn around and walk back down that line of cars that are pulled up behind yours and explain to each of those drivers in turn exactly what I've explained to you.
Oh, Ken, that's perfect and beautiful. I love it.
That's the main.
Yes, golf clap for Ken. Brilliant.
It expresses what this document is about. It firstly means your own realization of the fact that the landscape has changed dramatically. Secondly, it brings you to that position that Scott mentioned about being fearless. You step out in front of that traffic and stop. Then you explain the circumstance to the other person. You lay the cards on the table. You give them the choices. And the choices are then for them to go back and to help educate those other people. If we can do that through this document, it won't be long before there will be more and more people putting their white glove on and stopping the world going where it's going.
Wow.
Thank you, Ken. That is absolutely lovely.
That was amazing.
Ken, I just love the cadence of the voice. I'm going to have to listen to the call again.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really great.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to say too, the documentary that Scott and Ken produced, as you're watching it, just bear in mind the cameraman was mostly Ken, and some of the voiceovers are Ken too. It was Scott's baby, but Ken was a big part of it. So.
Yeah, we still got Scott. Is he still with us?
Yep, still here, Lisa.
I know we have to lose you soon. Is there anything you wanted to say before you had to run off?
Oh, I'm enjoying where this is going, and yeah, that's a good analogy there, Dad. Good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's I think just a matter of getting off your tail end and getting out there and doing it, and the way you do it is so varied. You can do it in so many different ways. It can be as simple as just asking an official, "Who are you?" to putting in documents and notices and all sorts. I'm finding more and more people around the world are just reaching that little trigger point that Heather mentioned, and they're just pushing them over the edge just far enough to go, "No, right, I'm doing something." And it doesn't mean you have to go out with a revenge or a vengeance attitude. You go out there with integrity, seeking truth, and to get that transparency that we're aiming for. So it can be done in so many different ways.
Thank you. Okay, do we want to move on to discussing the CVAC at this point?
Look, I'm happy to do that. Yep.
Well, I think Scott and Ken really kind of transition that energy. Ken is talking about this document being a really nice way to stop and tell everyone the landscape's changed. And it is about kindness. This is all about energy. Okay? And there's a lot of data that still is coming out right now. We have some big conferences coming up this month regarding some disclosures regarding non-locals, or what you call ETs, regarding different programs that have been done. I believe AK, American Kabuki, has revealed a lot of the Montauk Project, NSA type projects. which are just collaborative efforts of basically a space military. So what I would like to do is, if right now Ken and Scott have really, and Chris have really created this great tool of basically saying, who are you? In a very kind and gentle way, but at the same time firmly standing in pre-B. And so that's really the CVAC. You know, we ripped the Band-Aid off, and if some people haven't really noticed that something's been going on, I mean, today's news was probably the most blatant without having to have absolute context regarding the Pope resigning.
Yes, the Pope did announce he's stepping down on the 23rd, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
First one in 600 years to do so.
28th.
28th. Oh, okay. I've seen 3 different dates. 23rd, 25th, and now you've said 28th. So sometime this month.
Right. So, and there will be more absolute, more data that comes out, so you can put it into absolute context. But it's still one of those. I think Dee had said there was only one other pope that has resigned in this manner. Usually they resign in a much different manner. And
they resign from life altogether.
Yeah, they resigned from life altogether. So what I would like to tell everyone is the CVAC, the Band-Aid has been ripped off. Right now, the air is going over all, you know, the information Scott and Ken put out and Chris put at least in front of me, is a tool that people really needed to understand on how to be. Because what you do tells everyone, notices everyone of what you be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go into these CVACs and you don't know what you be, then what you do is going to be a whole lot of kind of running around, your head cut off. Not only that, but what do the people choose to be? Well, the only examples they've had is what they've been under for eons, which is this hierarchy system. You know, here's the president, and Lisa and some others have brought up, we want to do a council type of thing. Well, you know, the way that I really see it is there's a potential of 7 billion plus public servants and a possibility of a one-on-one as far as service to each other, meaning everyone practices self-responsibility. Now, yes, there are some people that have no idea what is going on, other than, you know, the village where they don't have clean water. You know, their family members get shipped over to a neighboring village where some corporation went in to mine some gold, for instance. I worked a lot in Zambia prior to the investigation, and that was the situation. And going through the data, some people just don't have access to it. So a big part of the assistance, I mean, can any one of you tell me what the CVAC is? I mean, have you read the document to see what it says? Because it says the government, but that was just for the bridge, so you could identify what it was going to replace. Basically, it's systems of assistance. It's not a governance where I go in and tell Ken and Scott how they're going to act and what they're going to do and what their opportunities are or limit them in any way.
Yep. It's
basically systems of assistance. What help do you need? How can we get this to you? And it brings the people together. You know, you have to have these contrived events like 9/11 for the people to actually see what community means.
Yeah. Heather, there's a conversation Lisa and Bob and I had last week about what the CVAC might look like in its structural terms, which we're going to post on American Kabuki and the OPPT website later today, which I'd encourage people to listen to. It's actually my visualization, so it's my view of how the CVAC works, and it's a three-dimensional description of the structure that I see when I read the documents. And I think it'll be valuable to people, much easier than reading the documents. It'll be valuable to people to get just how transparent it is, just how it covers everybody, and how there is no one left out. Everybody is connected to this thing, and no matter what direction they look at it from, it works the same way, and it works only to serve them. There's nothing in there that isn't serving them. Anything that isn't serving them is not in there. And I think that'll be of assistance to a lot of people, just to give them something to hang their hat on when they're thinking about what the CVAC will be.
Yeah, I mean, I would love between now and your next show, Lisa, not tomorrow's show, but the next
week.
Week. The way that we have the CVAC set up is one for people to understand by the governance that they've, had before, president structure and all that, and that was just until as a placeholder, okay?
Yep.
And what we always knew is that there are no limits. Everything is possible. So basically, these systems and assistants put all the data on the table for everyone to look at. So with education, here's all the options of what exists today in any country, anywhere on this planet. Now, looking at this, what resonates with people? And they each get to choose whatever they want, but the point is these systems and assistants put all the table on the data, and then whatever the people choose, that's what they choose for themselves. That's what works for them, and there may be some like-minded individuals, so you have an actual social network focus point. So anything that doesn't limit, that's what we saw as far as going in, was to make sure there was no limit and that the people had an opportunity to do whatever. So what I would ask is that I saw Mike from Norway, and his group sent in a visual, or Mike did, sent in a visual of how he saw the CVAC. I would love to see what everyone else wants to see. I would have to ignore all emails, all Skypes for the rest of the week, pretty much, as far as responding. And I know people are kind of dissatisfied with my timing of response. And I would look at all of these, and then I would love to discuss it next week. Meanwhile, there's a lot of doing and a lot of happening going on behind the curtain, and maybe at that point you'll see even more than you did today or last week.
Yeah. Heather, that would be great, because again, I'll emphasize that the discussion we had was my view of what I saw, but I could probably rearrange what I gave out into at least two other slightly different versions, doing the same thing, but it would look a bit different. And I would love to hear what other people's ideas are, because one of the things, and I'd like you to speak to this a little bit, one of the things that's written into the CVAC contracts and contractual system are contracts that turn over quickly, in the sense that we can try something, and if it doesn't fit, we can fix it in a couple of months' time, and we can dispense with it completely and do something else. And that gives us the flexibility to, as you say, look at something, look at the data and say, is this what we want? And we can try it and dispense it, because all the political systems that we deal with now, all the ones that were, in fact, they have 3-4 year turnarounds, and it's like moving a giant boulder. The people never get traction. So do you want to speak to the kind of short-term, flexible evolution that we're looking to achieve?
Yeah, well, like I said, the CVACs were just a placeholder, because here's all these corporations operating under the guise of government. So the only way you can block them, essentially, is by putting in the people's government. And we named it something different in order as an umbrella, because each person is basically a treasury. Each body is a treasury. And the short-term periods were because we wanted to make sure that, number one, this was a placeholder to keep the powers that were at bay. And if they had to go head-to-head, then they would be going head-to-head with the trustees, essentially. And we weren't afraid of that. However, at the same time, it's 2 to 3, I think it's 3 months.
Yes.
3 months. 3-month turnarounds, and we wanted to make sure the people didn't feel threatened. Number one, what we did was we made sure that the ownership, full title rights, and value were all owned by the people. So that was one big one. 2 was that this was short-term turnarounds, in order for the people not to think that this is long-term, or they're switching out from, the pot to the kettle.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure they had room to maneuver and felt safe while they did it. That's why there's short-term periods. And that way, if someone messes up, it's easier to get them out of there. And there's less time for them to maneuver and go in and try to subjugate. But it doesn't matter. Whatever they do, they're fully liable for. So the damage is always going to be accounted for under the governing law, common law principle.
Yeah. Because
so
the
we
other
put
thing
a lot of safeguards in there.
Yeah. The other thing that really, really stands out to me is the transparency. I mean, the areas of responsibility that you've denoted in the document itself, where you speak to the different responsibilities that the CVAC has, like systems of knowledge, communication, travel. And there's one specifically focused on transparency, ensuring that everything is available at all times, which I personally think is absolutely brilliant, because I am so sick of political systems run behind closed doors, and I want that to be a thing of the past.
If they have something to hide, in their own personal matters, well, that's their business. However, when they're interacting with any other being, there has to be transparency on both sides, 100%, regarding their interaction with each other. Otherwise, where's the trust? So, and if these are the people's governments and these are the people's servants or public service employees, then they should be 100% transparent. That way you know where the accountability and the liability is, and you know what they're doing, and you can measure and manage the efficiency, right?
Absolutely.
Chris, can you just tell people where they can find the CVAC documents?
The documents? Okay, they're in two places on the website. There's the ones that will be sort of most interest. They're in the CVAC menu. There's one that's simply called CVAC, and in the UCC filings, if you go down to the bottom menu, 2012 Part 2, there's several documents in there, and the names, I don't have the website in front of me, which is probably a mistake. But they're amongst the last half a dozen in the bottom of that menu, and there's a declaration and order. Then there's a CVAC constitution, an offer to contract, which is an offer that's made to literally anybody that wants to actually to take up involvement in a CVAC. Then there's a copy of an actual contract, which is Heather's, the one that she actually made to create a placeholder CVAC. And then there's contract for a CVAC branch, and they all cross over. There's information that's in all of them. Some of them have bits that are only in there, but really, folks, if you can get your heads around it, they're really worth a read. As I say, as I've been saying about the documents, the best bits are in the middle of the documents once you get past the introductory material, and the duties of a CVAC, the duties of the public servants in them are absolutely specified in there. And if you read it and reflect of how it compares to current political systems, it'll just blow your mind, because they're just completely the antithesis of what we've been looking at our entire lives, which is why my copy sitting in front of me is absolutely covered in comments and highlighter pen and bits of sticky notes sticking out the side so I can find things.
And the website you can get them from is, of course, the People's Trust 1776.org site and optin.com, OPPT-in.com. So from both of those websites.
Lisa, I'm wondering if I can add to what Chris has just said. My study of the CVAC documents is a bit like imagining government at the moment as somebody who puts roadblocks and obstacles in your way at every opportunity they get. If you compare that to the complete opposite, where the government says, how can I help you get what you want? And you understand that in terms of a facilitation process rather than a stumbling block process, then you get close to what CVAC represents. It's a facilitation process rather than a stumbling block. And that makes a world of difference to how people can interact with one another, because at every tick of the clock, there is someone there saying, how can I help you get what you want?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah, it's not the sort of response you get down at the local government's employment service.
Absolutely not.
Someone in the chat room's just mentioned they received an email yesterday saying that the OPPT 1776 website is bogus. Well, I can assure you that it's not if you're going to the right website, and the right website is peoplestrust1776.org. If there's any copies out there, then that's what they are, but that's the official website where you can get the document.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to mention, Lisa, is if you want to find the UCC filings, one of the trustees has released a YouTube video of exactly how to look it up. It's a slightly antiquated search engine you're using, so it's a little bit difficult to find, but he's clearly shown how to navigate through and see the original filings. So if you have any doubts that the documents are real and exist, there you can find your proof.
Also, if you come across any websites that are trying to look like OPPT and are asking for donations, then they're not OPPT. If someone has personally decided to do and create a supporting website and they're asking for donations, then just know that those donations would be going to that individual who's created that website, and they're looking for some support to keep it going or something like that. The donations are not going to the People's Trust.
Hey, one more thing on that, Lisa. If anybody we're creating a list of all the websites that are popping up out there and trying to vet them out as much as we can to see which ones are trying to receive donations and or are legitimate. I know that the People's Trust 1776.org is the only official One People's Public Trust website. But if anybody has any that they want to add to the list, we have an email set up specifically for that. It's opptnetwork@gmail.com, and we can get all the sites added to one, so we can put them all out there for people to navigate and find stuff that's local.
And the Oppt-In.com website, opptin.com, has become the ground crew's website. So myself, Brian, AK, Caleb, Chris, we're all contributing to that website.
One more thing on that website, real quick, Lisa. If we're going to do a little flash mob toward the end of the call, if everybody that's out there listening, go to the Oppt-In website now. It's OPPT-IN-hyphen.com, and then under the main banner it says download the Flash Mob Media Kit now. Go ahead and download that. There's some memes developed or produced pieces of art that we're going to go and blast some Facebook pages at the end, some really fun ones at the end of the call. So it says download the Flash Mob Media Kit now. Go ahead and go do that. That way we can throw a bunch of pics up there as opposed to just writing or links to websites.
Where? I can't find it. I'm not seeing it on the website.
It's right under the main banner. It says download the Flash Mob Media Kit now. It's another banner.
I can see it. Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Scroll down the page. It's in bright pink.
Bright pink.
Is that on Facebook, Brian?
Wait, what's that, Heather?
Is that on Facebook?
No, it's on Oppt-In.com. Oppt-In.com got hacked this morning. We were able to figure it out, and so it's back on live now. So it's OPPT-IN.com, and it's in pink underneath the main banner for people to go and download. Perfect. Hey, I have so I'm reading Kawila Pele's in the queue right now. He sent a link to his blog post that he put on today in regards to one of his contacts out in Hawaii named Ginger, who had some comments based on the dialogue that we had last week regarding the CVAX when Julian came on. And it sounds like she's expressing some she wants to have her concern addressed on the call if she could. It's something that I know that a lot of people share as well, so we might as well bring it up. And her biggest thing was that she wants more understanding. There was a point where we started talking about how Julian made a comment about how somebody couldn't go out and buy a Ferrari. with their CVAC and with the funds that they have, the digital funds. And to her and to a lot of other people, it sounded like there's going to be some, hierarchical structure, dictatorship telling people what they can and cannot use funds for. I realize this is a very looking at it from this perspective is a hard thing to do right now for many because they don't really understand the process. But what she writes here is, it sounds like there's going to be a CVAC board of directors. Let's see. Well, each of the individuals of the group.
Brian, can I stop you there?
Yes,
I just want to make a comment. I really want to clear this up. The discussion we had with Julian, was based on a download that he had. Okay, he wasn't reading the documents and interpreting. This was just stuff that came to him. He's a highly sensitive chap. He's a highly tuned person, but we all know some of the information that comes from those downloads is distorted, coloured, etc. And the mechanism for that we can only speculate about. But essentially, he was presenting a view of the CVAC, and it really wasn't even his. It was from elsewhere. Now, we don't have to accept anything that Julian said, and based on. But I actually think some of it was correct. I think it was a mixture. The part about distribution of value in some controlled way, I completely disagree with, and virtually everybody else around me, including your contact, feels the same. And this is data that's been put on the table, a view that got put on the table, and as Heather said before, we need to get all our views on the table. And the interesting thing is, I think it's going to be really easy to sort through what we want and what we don't want. And so we looked at some of Julian's data and we said, yeah, we like that because he spoke about the rolling contracts, which is a really positive thing, for instance. But he also spoke about this controlled access to value, which is not only at odds with the specifications of the CVAC, but I personally don't want to go there. That's my view on it, and virtually everyone else is as well. So what I'd like to say to your contact is that particular view that was presented, that part of that view, that's just not going to happen. I'd like to assure everybody else. In the CVACs, it says specifically immediate, unencumbered, unfettered access to value is one of the responsibilities of the public servants in the CVAC. So let's just put that one to bed.
And Chris, I think what you just said hit the nail on the head, and that's what the message that we really want to make sure that we get out there is that that's not the direction that this is going, and it's not a structure that's going to be in place that's going to be set up to where there's going to be people that are making that call. We're trying to go in another direction and away from the model of the slavery systems that are in place that are ruling things right now. So I didn't bring it up to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I'm glad that you made all the comments that you just made because we have talked offline, and I know some of the information that's coming from Julian is extremely powerful, and that we can talk about at a later date. So I'm glad you made the comments that you made, Chris, because that's going to clear the air for a lot of people that have a lot of concerns out there.
Hi. Hold on a second.
Yeah, we got you. We've got you.
A little confusion going on here. Look, thanks, Brian, and I really hope that people will simply move on because as Heather's given out a call. I'll just finish this. Heather's given a call for people to put out their ideas on the CVAC, and I really want them to come back with stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And that's exactly why we got Julian on the call. This was one person's interpretation at this point in time based on the information he was getting. And even for him, it's evolved and changed in the last week. And it's all about getting the conversation started and getting people thinking about it. That was the purpose of bringing him on the show, and we'll have other people who want to come up and share their ideas too, and what information they're getting from internally.
Just the fact it's brought into your consciousness at this moment. That's a huge one because most people just sit there and go, well, I've got to vote. I've got to vote for either that guy or that guy. And then there's a whole list on a card which you don't even know about or see usually, the independents or, the other political parties that actually are registered, but get no time. And that's all they know. This really means what do you want to be and how do you do that being? We're used to just taking orders. I got so many emails and phone calls. Tell me what to do. How do I be? What, you know, I want to help, but how? You know, what are these CVACs? What can we do? Well, I'd like to know, what do you guys want? I'd like, personally, something that doesn't limit me, something that lets me be really creative, something that lets me be free. And basically, the only rule I was going to put in the CVAC was just one rule. And then it was kind of looked at, guys were like, you know, nobody's going to believe this. I was like, but it is that simple. The one rule of the CVAC was going to be, do anything and everything you choose to do, just so long as it doesn't usurp, violate, invade, subjugate, subordinate, or abrogate anyone else's right to be and do. And that's the only rule. Now, if you want to get kind about it, you can also add the rule, treat others as you want to be treated. I give you notice of how I want to be treated by how I treat you, essentially. So it's really open, guys. How do you want your systems of assistance to work? And really think about it. Think about something you need assistance with. And then think about, gosh, it would really be nice if someone did this in that particular aspect, actually did these steps, and work it through as an exercise. Because once you start to do that, you really understand how much energy goes into doing. So you better have your being really set. And it's okay if it changes. It's going to change because the data is going to come in, things that you've never known before, or things that you've known but are put into absolute context. So it's okay to change. But just know who you be at the present moment, of any given moment.
Heather, that point, what you just said, I really want to highlight, because a lot of times people are looking at this and they're thinking that they're waiting for someone to tell them what is. And we're asking you what you are. What do you choose? And that data, you know, your choices will change according to the data that you received. For instance, if someone offered you a free house, okay? Well, with just that limited information, you may say, "Oh, sure." But if you found out later on that in order to get that house, X number of people needed to die. Well, when you add that extra information, perhaps your choice would be different. And one of the things that, you know, when you talked about the gold being conscious, you know, and the gold being alive, when you understand that, would you really want to lock it in a vault and enslave it or do that to a living conscious thing after we're coming out of what we just suffered? So your choices may change. And when I started to look at the whole CVAC structure, when we started, you know, actually visualizing it, as Chris was telling us his ideas, I started to look at this and I was like, wow, if that was really there, do we really need money? And, you know, perhaps we will, but I'm looking at the structure and I was like, you know, if everybody understood this, their choices might be different. So it's really important for people to start to digest all of this information, to get the idea of what the structure can be, you know, what the possibilities are with all the data that we have available. And we haven't even started to talk about the technology that might be available or will be available, you know, and how that's going to affect our choices. So yeah,
Bob, I think you make that's an absolutely great point, and I think that, I mean, look at it from this perspective. Take, for example, the history of lottery winners in the United States or all over the world, right? You ask somebody, hey, what would you do if you had $1 million? What would be the first thing you'd do if you had $1 million? Oh, I'd go out and buy a Ferrari. Well, everybody that's won the lottery, well, 70% of the lottery winners, first of all, they end up spending all of their money, but they tell you that after about 2 months, I think, is the average that the statistics say, the euphoria of having all the money wears off, because everybody on their own comes to the realization that no matter how much stuff they buy, it doesn't make them any happier. So they realize, and so many people, that are on this call and are listening to this call, they realize that true peace of mind and true happiness lies within and what we already have. So people that, when the discussion is being had in regards to what the CVAC funds can and can't be used for, limiting it is not the direction. I totally agree. I wanted to bring this up because I felt it needed to be addressed because there's a lot of people out there that are wondering what the money is going to be used for. But what people need to understand is that even if everybody went on some spending frenzy for the first 30, 60, 90 days, the novelty of that wears off because it doesn't get – you don't have more and more fun and accrue more and more happiness with the more things that you buy, that you purchase. You have to go within for that. And it would only be a matter of time before the collective realizes that on a mass level and start to do that in whole. Now we're talking about some major shifts into some beautiful, beautiful places with unlimited possibilities.
Do you want to take a live, real-time example here of data and how it may change your decision if you have that data? Let's use the lottery example that Brian brought up. Everyone goes and buys a lotto ticket because they want a chance to win a whole bunch of money, right? However, when the winner goes in to collect on that ticket, what we found during the investigations, and I'd already heard after living in Italy about lottery being, mafia and everything else, and met some of the guys that manage that stuff, but in the UCCs, we actually found the lottery winners registered as debtors, listing the tickets, the winning lotto tickets. And basically, the winner is really a debtor, and they use that debtor's signature to go in and fund the winnings, quote unquote. And it's sold off multiple times. And so we found this company we were researching to go back that was tied back to the Bushes. And it's a big front for the Bushes, and all of these lottery winners are secured in there as debtors. And it's so funny because these winners are walking around thinking that they won all this money, and yet their name is out there as a debtor in the banking world, in the commercial world, and they have these huge debts. So I was trying to win a lotto ticket. I was trying to win one of the lottos just so I could go in and do a live, real-time example of how to secure the ticket and not be the debtor, but put the state and everyone else as the debtor. So this is some kind of a change of absolute context in data. I'll have to look for those filings so you guys can see them. And it actually puts in absolute context what a winning lottery winner really is. It's a debtor, but you never see it. So at that point, do you really go buy a ticket? And if you buy a ticket, what are you going to do with that winning ticket? Are you going to make yourself just go and sign and take the money and it's okay if I'm a debtor sold out 100 times over? Or do I go in and secure that winning ticket? Or do I even buy a ticket at all? Now, this is the kind of absolute data, not one piece missing, that we're talking about for every area of life.
Let's see if lottery tickets sales drop in the next couple of weeks. I think they might. They also say that within 2 to 5 years, an individual has won, first division, large sums of money, either ends up in exactly the same situation they were financially before they won, or they're even worse off.
Yeah, they hope that you just spend that money like crazy and don't find out what they're doing. When we traced it all the way back to the Bush's front and the CIA cover operations, all of a sudden the UCC office started making them paper filings, which means you have to go in the UCC office to even ask for them. You can't get them online. And I'm not sure if that's still the case. It's been a couple of years since I actually saw them, but just go in and ask questions. Ask questions.
Guys, we've actually got a lot of people with their hand up wanting to come out and talk or ask questions or make comments, whatever, and we've still got a lot to cover in the show, so I'd like to try and get some of these out if we can. Is everyone up for calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we've got caller with area code 612. 612? Okay, I'm moving on.
Hello, hello.
No, there you are.
Oh, here I am.
Yes.
Okay.
What was your name?
Elizabeth from Minnesota.
Hey, Elizabeth.
Hi, guys. Hey, I'm happy. My heart just tells me it's beating 1,000 miles an hour. It tells me since we started gathering together that this is it. The snowball is rolling, and I just want to say Mystery Babylon has fallen. and death is being swallowed up in victory. So, okay, you guys answered a lot of my questions.
People are in the same boat. Well, the people are resonating. It's such an overused word these days, but they're connecting on some level, even if they don't understand the documents or they don't understand the legal process. They are responding to the documents on an emotional level. And I've heard people talk about this, and that they can't answer a technical question, but they are so excited, and they just know it's true, but they couldn't tell you how it works. And that's fine.
Yeah, I have a good picture of how it was a couple weeks ago. So I taught some people just Heather's first talk way back when. I got excited when I figured out in between lines what she was saying when she was one of those good guys, a fly on the wall, the investigator. I said, you guys got to get excited. So thank you all. We, the people, are finally standing up, and let's keep on going, guys. Love you all. Thanks.
Thanks for calling in, Elizabeth. Okay, we have area code 602. Oops, have to unmute you though. 602, you there?
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
oh, yeah, this is Frank. How are you?
I'm well, Frank. How are you?
Oh, just great. I was just so excited because I filed my UCC form last week, and I get the principles and I get the understanding, and the freedom that this means. The only thing that I don't know how to say this is looking at it in terms of trustee. I think they answered the question pretty much that I had, is because when I think of a trust, I think in trustees with the thing that, how do I say this, with the thing my spirit is moving me towards is what I'm most interested in is technology, free energy devices and whatnot. And I've always been kind of like stymied with the problem of money, you know. And I've done my own experiments, and I've looked at other experiments, and there's a lot of things I receive from the cosmos, so to speak. I don't know if that makes any sense, but my guides and my galactic friends have put things in my thoughts in my head for 40 years, you know, of devices I didn't even understand what you know. It's like I foresaw in the 60s. I knew what a laptop was, but I had no idea what it meant, you know. But I could see it, you know. And now today it's a reality. My question is that when it comes to trustees and trust fund, there's after filing this UCC form as with the OPPT as a debtor, with the collateral paragraph in there. Is there an actual process? I think I'm understanding it is going through the CVAC in order to begin to manifest actual steps that I could take to bring into forwarding into this reality of free energy devices. That I would be able to access some of that funds. Just for example, the case founding.
Is this a show me the money question? Because we get a lot of them. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Heather, do you want to address this? Because this is a question we're getting over and over and over again. Show me the money. Where's the money? How do I get my money?
Just show me the money.
No.
I mean, I know the money's already there.
Yeah,
I know the money's already there. I've checked it. It's there. I know it's there, and I know that they are.
So yeah, I'll answer the question. Jerry Maguire is a big reference point today, I guess. So yeah, it's first you got to have the tools to tracking and transfer systems, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, your banking systems. And in fact, that was a big question last week between the trustees and the bankers, because I've gotten some calls from certain bankers. I get emails all the time from different lawyers on financial groups and hedge funds and whatnot over this process since December 25th and specificity, wanting me to consult and all this other stuff. Here's the point. All of these pressure points of you being and doing are pressuring each part of the body, okay? And at some point, and what's happening is we're guarding that particular position so that you can do that. The CVACs, at that point, either you're going to take the old tracking systems and transfer systems and use those, which would be the most efficient because they're already there and they are fantastic. They're just abused, okay, and mismanaged. Or they won't give them up. You're going to have to go in and do the enforcement part, which is fine. That's not a problem either. Or you go and create them from scratch. So that was the process that happened last week. There were some major choices that were made last Thursday or Friday, I can't remember which day. And right now, that's why you haven't had certain announcements that they said they were going to make regarding government, regarding financial. They had to make a decision. And basically, last Thursday and Friday, their decision came out. And now you're going to start to see what that decision was visibly on basically the end result, regardless of what the decision was. The result is you're going to have those tracking and transfer systems. So that should be starting the flow, the access, the unfettered and unencumbered access to your funds so that you're able to go in, do what you want to do, don't assert, don't violate. If you're going to buy a Ferrari, okay, well, great. For me, I have 4 kids that can't fit in it. You know, so it's obviously not going to be a choice for me. But everyone has their choices, okay? So there's going to be, I would be really, it would not resonate with me if someone told me what I could do, how I could do it, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And I wouldn't be here with you guys. So why would I impose that on someone else? So the transfer and tracking systems, it's very important to go in and say, guys, here's your choice. Banks, here's your choice. That call went out last week. How do you want to do this?
So when you say that call went out last week, are you saying do you want to work with the people and provide a system for the transference of value, whatever that looks like?
Well,
or do you want us to make you completely obsolete?
They're not providing a system. The people paid for that system all around the world. They used all taxpayer dollars to do it. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that system belongs to the people. It was just commandeered. So either they can return the system on their own, and we can assist the banks in finding their custodial position. Because that's what they really were supposed to be, was a custodial position, a transfer agent, okay? Instead, they were used to harvest, they were used to commandeer, they were used to steal. That's basically what they were used for. As far as the tracking transfer system, either they hand it over nicely, or it's repossessed, or we pull something else down with some very nice friends, sparkly friends, and just do it a whole nother way. You know, integrate that 3D into 5D, 27D, I don't care what dimension you want to call it, but if we need to do something different, we can do that too. There's no limits. Everything's possible. So that's the answer to your question is a decision was made Thursday or Friday, and that choice will become visible in the fact that you will have those tracking and transfer systems for your value so you can access that. And it'll probably, it can happen in a twinkling of an eye. So really it's a matter of them and how quickly it goes on one sense, but in the other, we can do it in a twinkling of an eye just by our own choices. So that's what's going to happen this week. Do we create an alternative one? Do we go in and repossess it? Or do we get it back because they're going to try to zero out their liabilities transparently?
Gotcha. Thank you, Frank, for your call. I'm going to bring out someone who's coming in as unknown. There's no number there, but if you've called in and you've put your hand up, please say hi. It may be you. Hello, I can hear buttons. Okay. No?
Hello.
Yes, there you are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear it say unmuted, so I'm calling in on Skype, so that's probably why it came through unknown. I have a question for Heather.
And what was your name, please?
It's Daryl from BC.
Oh, hey, Daryl.
I just wonder if Heather would comment on the original Caleb video that was put out on the instructions for the UCC search and subsequently taken down.
I didn't even get to see the video. I heard he was kind of salty, though. I said, you must have really been grumpy.
It was Caleb in his best grumpy old man imitation.
I'm sorry, my friend. I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. I know Caleb to be a lovely soul, very firm in what he be, and he does what he be.
Can I just jump in here for a quick second? I was actually chatting with Caleb and AK literally just moments before Caleb did the video, and as the kind of precursor to it was the fact of all of us having a conversation about these emails that we're getting from people saying, well, I want the filings, I can't find the filings, tell me how to find the filings, you have to show me where the filings are, I need to know where they are, yada, 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 yada. And all of us doing the big, okay, we'll have to run through this again. And I guess Caleb, like I said, just, took it upon himself to make a video, but he wasn't really in the best frame of mind, I would think. Like I said, he was doing his best grumpy old man imitation. But like I said, it was coming from a place of we had just been discussing over and over again this inundation of emails saying, show me how to, and sorry to say, but most of these emails were not phrased very, please could you help me. It was, I demand to know where they are, that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, we can't find them. They're not real. You guys aren't real. This is all a hoax. It's okay. I mean, that's wonderful because it holds a contrast. Yep. I just got to say it that way. Otherwise, I'll be grumpy too. So, Caleb, when Caleb spends the time to do a video, he does so much that nobody sees. And behind the scenes in his own company, with his family and everything else, when he takes time and energy to put something forward, he takes it from other places. So, I was really surprised that he was able to even find the time at this particular moment because of the work he's doing with some national accounts. So,
I just wanted to say that the three trustees are very different individuals. And if somebody was expecting Caleb to come along with the same energy as Heather, they may...
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
But you're talking about three very different people with very different energies, very different gifts that they've brought to this particular table, and, no two are the same. We've got time for maybe a couple more. So, area code 215, and thank you to Daryl for calling in. Area code 215?
Hi, this is Derek from Pennsylvania.
Derek,
hey,
how
Derek.
you doing?
Hey, Bob. Hey, everybody. Just a quick question in regards to the sequence of events today with regards to the announcement from the Vatican. I may have missed it. I tuned in a little late because I had a little technical difficulties. How does that bear in with this particular situation?
Some people don't want to be caught with their pants down?
Some people have been caught with their pants down.
Yeah. They don't want to be caught holding the bag when the people wake up.
Okay.
Tell you what, how about this? I'll answer that question. I think the energy that's involved in the absolute data of that particular situation is probably more fitting for Lisa's show tomorrow night in the collective consciousness.
Okay.
I promise to add that data tomorrow night.
Okay. Well, I know something's going on, and it's definitely moving into the positive. So it was just one more question. And as far as the DP, how is that a connection? Is there a connection there as well?
No, there isn't.
Okay.
Well, I know the DP's contacted me, and right now I'm I'm trying to remember sort of where everybody is and organize my brain with all the data as far as who does what. I would love to have basically an inventory of who's where, does what, to better use the efficiency of everyone's value to create what everyone wants it to be. So I apologize for the DP. I believe that's Norway. Norway guys, right?
Well, maybe we need to clarify what the caller means by DP.
Yes.
Say that one more time.
Can you just clarify what you're talking about when you say
Divine
DP?
Providence.
So that's what I thought you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Divine Providence, I'm not familiar with their process, except for what I've seen through Mike and those guys. So I'm still learning.
Okay. Well, at any rate, everything seems to be going according to plan. Everything's moving in a positive direction. So, I'm happy either way.
Thank you, Derek, for calling in. Okay. Yes, there are some things that there's quite a few things we're going to go over tomorrow night's show on the Collective Imagination. One will be this discussion around the Pope. We also want to talk about the whole concept of ownership. I do anyway. I want to bring that up because I think ownership, whether it's of property or gold or silver or animals or each other, is a meme that we were tricked into believing was a truth. Because you cannot own anything. And we have this mine, it's mine. We're going to hold on to it. And it's not, nothing's ever really yours. You don't have that ownership and control over anything, in my opinion. So we need to, again, this is all my opinion, but rethink our whole concept of ownership. And if we want to be free, truly free, then so does everything else in creation. We have to give it that same freedom that we want for ourselves. And maybe one of the reasons we haven't been free is because we've been tricked into the concept of ownership. And the more we try to own something else, the more we are owned. And
excellent, Lisa.
Thanks, Lisa.
And it's very relevant to the CVAC and launching it and the gold, the silver, everything. It's so relevant. It's absolutely what's focused highly on the table right now.
Cool. Well, there'll be more of that tomorrow night, along with a couple of other things. We're hoping to get Ron Van Dyke on tomorrow's show, so he may join us as well. He's a lovely, lovely guy. Now, we do have a flash mob planned, and we're into our last 30 minutes, so we might kick that off, have a little bit of fun. Brian, where have you put the links for me? Here they are. Okay, guys, hopefully you've already gone to the Oppt-In.com website and downloaded the tools, all of the images, so that you can take your pick. And right now we are going to hit, I'll put the links in the chat room. We've got facebook.com/RT News and facebook.com/Occupy Wall Street. Both of them have pages where you can leave comments that are not moderated. So if you want to bring up your Facebook, if you can.
So real quick on that, Lisa. So Occupy Wall Street is just Occupy Wall and then ST. So you don't spell out street.
Yes, of course.
So also these are, it's a little bit of a different approach from the ABC, NBC, I think it was from last week. We're looking for collaboration with these particular outlets that have huge followings. I mean, Occupy Wall Street, I think it's like I have no idea how many people follow it on the Facebook page, but I know a lot of people follow the movement. Same thing with RT News. A lot of people go there to get their news. So be nice, be nice. But let's blast it, and then tomorrow we'll be announcing some more. And really, what we wanted people to do is keep going back throughout, not just tonight, keep going back throughout the week and hammering. I mean, with 140 some odd thousand listeners last Monday, I mean that's a lot of exposure if enough people participate in these. So let's go to work.
Right, I've got to tell you, I just logged into Facebook, and what's staring me in the face is a picture of the Pope with a foreclosed stamp on his forehead and
I love it.
Whoever took that picture, I love you.
Too funny.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the picture of Moses holding the tablet. Charlton Heston, of course, is Moses. And if you look carefully at the tablet, it says UCC.
UCC.
Okay, is it OccupyWallStreet.org? Is that the actual Facebook?
The Facebook is facebook.com/Occupy, OccupyWallst. And then RT News is /RT News. So I'm going on there now. And see here. Let's see if stuff starts popping up here.
Yeah, the Occupy Wall Street page has got 413,000 likers.
Yeah, I think RT News has even more than that. Let's see here. And while we're doing this and having fun, let me make a couple real quick announcements regarding the OPPT ground crew email. So I lost track of people have been sending in emails saying they want to contribute and they want to be on the ground crew. I mean, I have like all sorts of different categories of email folders now, people that do, videography and legal, people that have legal backgrounds and people that are journalists and writers and doers or just people that want to help out, PR, project management. Really what we need right now is leadership, organization, and project management people. I mean, literally to help return emails and now start to plug all these people into groups of doers that can work on various little projects that will be very big projects. But anybody that has some extra time and wants to help with organization and leadership and team management, drop me an email, opptgroundcrew@gmail.com. And if I haven't gotten back to your email yet, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to get to you. We're going to get to everybody, but it's overwhelming the amount of response that we've got from people that want to help out. It's really beautiful. Really, some of the things that people. One guy even said, "I'm all yours. I'm willing to relocate." And this guy is ready to move.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I thought that was. That's a next level of commitment. But that's what I'm looking for right now for the ground crew effort. Let's see. I'm going to refresh here and see what we got coming through.
Also, guys, you've got the chat room on freedomreigns.us website. That's the preferred chat room for this show. And I accidentally launched it at Blog Talk again. Sorry, Dietra. That can handle a lot more people. And I believe we've got Sarah from the queue too. So is everybody having fun doing their flash mobbing?
I'm trying to see. Somebody refresh their screen and see if anything is coming up just yet.
Hold on.
Oh, you got to change the little highlights to show posts by others. If you recall from last week.
That's right. Sarah, are you there on the call?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey,
Seraph.
Brother Seraph.
Raheem, what's up, brother?
What's up, man?
I want to first say that to everybody on this call and to everybody that's in this movement, I am so in love with all of you. That's just bottom line. But I want to get that out of the way first. And my mother used to say in church when we were kids, she used to say, don't ever wait till somebody dies to give them praise. Give them their flowers while they're alive and can smell them. So I always say to you, I try as much as I can to just say to you guys that I love you all. And what you have done to just change my life and what you're doing to help me help others is beyond belief. We're going to go in history books in the future. Our children's children will talk about these days. But the second thing I wanted to touch on was I felt led. I tried to stay off the call. I did the best I could. I really did. But the one thing I wanted to say, and I was led to say it in the last couple of minutes, is the Pope George W. Bush, George Bush the First, Rothschild, anybody that we would perceive in duality as evil, wrong, cabal, whatever, we have to remember. We have to try to force ourselves. It's hard, believe me. It's like me trying to force myself to look at the KKK in the same way. But we have to force ourselves to understand that each individual is an eternal heart. We are trying our best to give them an opportunity to make the right choice. Yeah. And I only hope that they will, because it would be for me that none perish. That's my feeling about it. But being a seraphim, I'm not afraid to swing the sword once they make that decision. So I'm just saying, I don't want anybody to make the wrong decision. It is a shame. It saddens me to know that there are those who will make the wrong decision based on either not having the information that we have or ignoring that information. So that's all I wanted to say. Again, I love all you guys, and I think Santos has the coolest voice in the world. I want to put you on my CD, dude. I want to put your voice saying something on my record. I don't know what you're going to say yet, but I'm going to get you to say something. I just dig your voice, dude.
I'm sure you heard that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty.
I got to go do a 3D gig, so I got to roll.
Sarah Santos plays a mean guitar. You want to check that out.
What did you say?
Santos plays a mean guitar.
Yes, he does.
Do you?
Oh,
Don't start with me, man. I'll put you on stage. You better watch out.
And you should. Yeah.
He busks all around Melbourne, and performs live, so he's very good. And
good.
we've also got Bob's brother, Guru Bob's brother on the line, Bevan. Bevan, are you there?
Yeah, I am. I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can barely, but yes.
It's very distorted.
Oh, hold on a second.
Okay, so we're flash mobbing, and I can see it coming up on the screen at RT.
Yeah,
Nicely
it looks like
done.
RT News is showing. I don't know if Occupy Wall Street moderates and it just doesn't show it on their main page.
What? I'm looking at Occupy Wall Street, and it looks to me, scrolling through, that all of the original main posts are only by the page. It looks like anyone can comment on a post, but they cannot start their own post, because I've posted 2 now, and nothing's coming up, and everything looks like it's only Occupy Wall Street as the starters of each comment.
Okay. So let's stick with RT News then, because there's all sorts of stuff coming up there right now.
That's brilliant. That's a beautiful job, people. The whole page, as long as I scroll. Wow, that's great.
Love it.
Love it. And we are having an impact. I mean, the word of this has spread. The ideas for flash mobbing, excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickle. The ideas are just that people are having. I'm getting emails from people who want to also do things like they want to go and print up bumper stickers. Is there anybody out there who's created a design for one? Some people have gone off on their own bat and printed up T-shirts that they're wearing and handing out to others. Wow, what other ideas? Business cards. You can go to Vistaprint and get hundreds of business cards done up for about $10. Places like that. And they're beautiful designs as well. So there's Julian that we had in last week, from his information that he's getting from wherever it's coming from in the Akashic, believes that there's about 600 people at the moment who are actively doing on this scale, and that it grows by about 10% a day, except for the days that we do these calls, and it grows by about 20%.
Also,
and then it was suggested that we should do a call every day.
Yeah.
It was suggested that we do a call every day, but oh my Lord.
I have a just another one more quick announcement. So I got contacted by let's see, what was her name? A woman by the name of Gwen. She hosts another live. It's our first live radio broadcast. It's called The Morning Brew. Her office is out of South Dakota, and she has 4 million listeners a week. I'm going on her radio show tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. live, and then we'll get the archive and we'll put it out there. But it's called Morning Brew, and let's see. I don't know her name offhand, but if you look it up, Morning Brew, South Dakota, and then I'm putting together a open letter to all radio outlets to try to get on more and more radio shows. So 4 million listeners a week, and is a lot of exposure as well. So anything we can do to tap into the broadcast radio. They syndicate to 8 countries.
Ooh.
What happened to Brian?
We just lost Brian.
You there?
There he is.
Oh, did I break up in the middle somewhere?
You turned into some kind of android for a second and then disappeared.
Oh, okay. Gwen Caldwell, Morning Brew Radio, South Dakota. So we started when Dee and I first did ours, it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Now we're to 9 a.m. on a weekday live, and next stop, 5 o'clock commute traffic with Ryan Seacrest.
Wow.
And don't forget George Norrie.
And we're working on George Norrie.
We've got several people working on Coast to Coast, seeing what they can get us in there.
Too much fun.
Right. Too much fun, exactly. And if you're connected to a group of people in your local area, there's a small local radio station even, please get them to, send emails, send requests, asking them to speak to somebody about this subject. They can send an email to the ground crew, I guess. Is that the best email address for that, Brian? If somebody actually wants to do an interview with someone on the ground crew, what would be the best email address?
Actually, the best email address for interviews is one that we have set up. It's peoplespublictrust@gmail.com. That's separate, which is going on future press releases as well. So peoplespublictrust@gmail.
Okay, so if you know somebody in the media who wants an interview, then please give them that email address. That would be lovely. What else have we got to cover off today? We've got about 15 minutes left.
So Lisa, do you remember I sent you an email the other day. Daryl sent it over, and it's in regards to what people can do with their own local law enforcement, I can't remember. We might have to. You know what? I'll find it and we can cover it on tomorrow's show. It's kind of like everybody flash mobbing their own community with, to various outlets within their own community. But since we're pushed for time, we can cover it tomorrow's call.
Okay. Heather, is there anything while we've still got you and your internet seems to be okay at the moment? Is there anything else you wanted to cover off today?
No, I would like to thank everyone, first off, for all their energy, and I do return in kind. I may be slow at returning some of the emails and all of that. I just wanted you to know I'd like to take the time to verbally thank you eternally. Just absolute love, peace, and gratitude, and I look so forward to doing some more and being some more with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.
We've got a minute to bring out a couple of other callers if you want to do that too.
Yeah, Lisa, just if we've got a minute, I'd like to just run the wisdom game information past the listeners.
Okay, I think some people got confused by that last week. They didn't understand why we were talking about it.
Well, we're talking about
it.
Look, I will go into that. Okay, we're entering into a situation where we're going to reform our entire civilization on the basis of ultimately knowing who we are and taking complete personal responsibility for what we do. Now, if you look at our education system, their greatest failure is the failure to teach that to our children. And the fact that we've all come through that education system means that a lot of us are not really good at teaching that to our children out of school. So we end up generation after generation of people who are simply looking for sources of authority, which is reflected in some of the emails that we get, which basically say, what's the official word, who's in charge in there, who do I talk to find out what to do next. Now, Len's teaching system that he's introduced directly addresses that. And we need these tools to feed into our education systems, not just for kids, but for everybody, as soon as possible as we go this transformation, because it's one of the missing links in what we have to do to transform ourselves from where we are to where we want to be. And this is stuff that Len was inspired to introduce. He's done it on a small private scale very successfully. He wants to take it out to the rest of the world. And he's actually going on a tour of the world for a few months, starting in Melbourne next week. He'll be here on the 18th and 19th, and followed by Brisbane, and then Hawaii in early March, Pennsylvania in mid-March, Hungary, Norway, and Germany late March, USA April, and Taiwan and back to Australia. And he's looking for facilitators. If you want to get in to help the world, and this is something you're interested in, it's a series of 32 games, which literally are games that you can play. And I'll just give you a quick, very quick summary of some of the stuff it deals with. Intuition, learning to listen and understand and trust what we feel. Learning to read intent. When the intent is clear, we move with purpose. Emotions become our guide, not our master. When we be like the child, we absorb information rapidly. As we trust ourselves, we adopt and adjust do attitude with purpose. Listening to our whole being employs powerful senses. Feelings becoming very powerful guides. Employing multiple non-verbal communication skills, being conscious of our abilities. And wisdom is the synergy of all these natural abilities. Now, have you ever heard of that in the curriculum of your local school? Hell no. And,
no way.
And I'm quite passionate about what Len's doing. And if you're inclined, and if you've got young kids, here is the perfect tool. You can, this is not something you can limit to the education system. You can learn these games and teach them to your own kids now. They're actually available now, and the results he gets out of changing people's attitudes to themselves and to all others around them in the matter of learning self-respect, expressing it as mutual respect, becoming aware of your rights and responsibilities. These are fantastic things for kids to actually be exposed to. And we can do it as parents, and we need to introduce it into the schools. So I'm really excited about the fact that, and conspicuously its timing, this stuff is going to hit the public, the one people now, while all this transformative action is going on. So the website is called The Wisdom Club. That's www.wisdom, WIZZDOM club, all one word, .com. The email address, if you want to communicate directly with Len Histon, it's just info@thewisdom club, and we'll post the website and a Facebook page for Len. And I wish him all the best with his tour. I'm really looking forward to meeting him next week, because he's going to teach me some of the games, and that'll be great. And this is a gift to the kids, folks.
It's the adults that need it more than the kids.
Well, yeah, I do.
It's very true. It's very true. As a homeschooling mom, I'm telling you, one of the hardest things to do was, when I pulled my kids out of school, was to first break the habits in me.
Yes.
To be tempted to try and teach them the way I was taught. Yep. And to put, and it's tough. It's very difficult to kind of say, oh, okay, well, I've taken them out of school because I don't want them taught that way. So now I need to come out about it differently. So I'm really excited, really, really excited to look into this and learn more.
Yeah, it breaks that cycle, because to teach your kids, you first have to learn yourself. Okay, and from what I gather, they get ahead of you very rapidly. Once they get into this stuff, they'll leave you for dead, and that's the gift that this thing is. So I hope everyone will take a look at that, and if it suits them.
One of the things that Heather always tells us is to have fun.
Yeah.
And we've been having a blast. Sometimes in that strategy room, it's hilarious. Some of the stuff that goes on in there. But when you look at children, or any and even in the animal kingdom, they learn by playing. And it is the most efficient, fastest way to learn anything. Have fun, play. And it's sad that so many people have forgotten how to play. My father's motto when I was growing up, "Your father don't play." and he would tell us that all the time, and we knew it. It was evident in the way he treated us. But when you do play and you're engaging all of your senses, and your brain is in a completely receptive mode, you get to experience how a child absorbs information, and we all know children are the geniuses. When you're born, you are absorbing and putting information together so quickly and so efficiently, and we've forgotten. We've lost touch with that. And I think what this game really does is it opens that up again, where and it allows, when you were younger, magic happened all the time. I remember talking to my dog and was completely confident he understood what I was saying, and we had a great relationship. Where did all that magic disappear? I think that's what it does. It turns that intuitive, empathic, magical side back on.
That's exactly what the game's designed to do. Now, just a couple of points here. If you're having issues with the images on Facebook, go to the Oppt-In website, download them onto your computer, upload them to Facebook in your own personal Facebook, maybe create an album for them, and you should at that point be able to share them anywhere, I think.
So Lisa, some of the Facebook pages you can share them. Some of the pages you can't. But use them, download them, and put them up on your own Facebook pages. And then before our next mob tomorrow, we'll go find the ones that we can make sure that we can post pictures to. So keep blasting anyways. Whether or not we can use the pictures is beside the point. But we'll figure out we'll learn more as we go, and we'll make sure that everybody has access to what they need to for tomorrow's mob.
So just keep a little notepad next to your computer with a list of the websites that we've hit so far. So RT, Occupy Wall Street, and was it CBS last week?
Yeah, CBS and CNN, I believe. Deatra, hey, real quick, Lisa, Deatra has a comment for you in the chat room that you might want to read out loud, directing people to go to freedomreigns.us. I guess there's so many people on the call, we're getting close to running out of people that can hop into chat.
Yes, I mentioned it earlier, that freedomreigns.us website has a chat room there that can handle a hell of a lot more people. Blog Talk will peak out, if it hasn't already.
It already has, I think.
Yeah, I think it already has.
141,000 live listeners to last week's call. So, man, if that's not exciting, I don't know what is.
And guys, we'll be back tomorrow with the Collective Imagination show. On Blog Talk as well. Excuse me, hopefully this will be gone by then. I'm going to share a vision that I had that apparently put Heather into a sweat for 3 days. So I don't know what that means, but anyway, I will share that with you. We'll do another flash mob. We're going to talk about what was touched on today in regards to what do we do with the existing Cabal members. That's a discussion that needs to be had, I think, too. The concept of us being all equal owners, for want of a better word, and custodians, probably a better word, equally. So the concept of if the system hurts one of us, it hurts all of us, and what are we going to do about it? The whole concept of ownership. We'll discuss the Pope. Heather's got information there that she wants to share tomorrow night. And if appropriate, got my own insights on that one. And again, we'll talk about the documentary, Frequently Unanswered Questions, because for those who missed today's show, because it's absolutely a fabulous tool to get your head around the process that took place, not just here in Australia, but what took place globally with the People's Trust. I want to thank every one of you for calling in. Some of you who have had your hand up and wanted to speak out, I am sorry that we didn't get to do that. It's always a very busy show on a Monday night, Tuesday morning. And those listening, I'm sure there's over 100,000 of you out there, so spread the word, bring people to the show, both Monday night and Tuesday night. We do cover slightly different topics each night. And sorry, the BTR lady's talking to me. This is growing so exponentially, and it's beautiful to see all of the doing that's going on and the people who are putting their hand up for absolutely anything and everything that needs to be done. Thank you to Heather for calling in. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Seraph. Thank you, Max, for hanging out in the background there and listening. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon too. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Lisa.
Keep saying thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank everyone. Thank everyone for coming.
Yep, thank you. Bob.
Sorry. I didn't want to talk over anybody.
Go ahead, Guru Bob.
Yep.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for calling and being here.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Good night.
See you all tomorrow.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.